The Redactive Initiative. This is a game that's so mysterious, even the title is not known. You'll have to do some work to figure out the full title. The Redactive Initiative, a cooperative game of storytelling, strategy, and code breaking for 1 to 4 players. Yes, you can play solitaire, or you can play it with some friends, working in full cooperative mode, so that everybody wins or loses together. This is a highly original game. I don't think I've quite played anything like this before. Just when you thought that a game book could not have a love child with both the board game Lost Cities and Wheel of Fortune, there you go. This game comes around and totally breaks your expectations in that sense. So this is a game where surprise, where a developing narrative, it really is the core element of the experience. And so for this reason, I'll have to be super careful not to give you any spoilers. There is a campaign that includes 14 chapters, so you will play it in 14 different sessions, and then there will be a lot of other missions that you can complete after you complete the campaign. But the campaign is an overarching developing narrative, and so I don't want to give you any spoilers. You'll have to figure things out on your own. So everything that you see in this review is either something that you will learn about in the game in the first mission, so not a big spoiler, or something that I made up. That I say, for example, I create a fictional setup so that you don't know about the kind of setups that you would find in the game, just to give you a sense. The story. A group of 4 teenagers finds an old board game called The Key. They find it at a yard sale. They start playing the game, and then weird stuff starts happening. So basically in the game, you play the teenagers, such as Jenny or Brock, but you see the teenager, like how they look like in real life, but then you also see the characters that they play in the game. So basically you're playing the teenagers while they play the key, and the game that you play is the key. Kind of like, makes me think that board games have caught up to Assassin's Creed, and the idea that you're not an ancient person, you're a modern person playing someone else. You have that duplication. So you will have a board such as this one, markers representing again the characters in the game, and the general idea is that you will go around this board collecting tokens that will be used as clues. You will collect tokens. Sometimes this is traps and there are negative effects. In most cases, or in many cases, you will have these symbols here. The purpose is, the game again is divided into chapters. Each chapter has a mission. Each mission has a card, and just to make sure that I don't spoil anything for you, I made up a card, but the cards will look like this. You will slide them inside this holder here. In the back, you will have setup instructions and possibly other indications. You will have a hint here about what you're trying to figure out. Maybe it's the truth about game reviews, or who is the most attractive video reviewer out there, or why are Marco's video reviews so awesome. Just totally fictional examples, although they're about really important things. So each mission card will tell you what it is you're going to find out. Then you will have some weird symbols here. The idea is when you collect a matching symbol, say I was able to collect a symbol, a token with that symbol from the board, then I get to lift the corresponding flap like that. Oh, and then later I found that symbol there. See, it's repeated twice, so I get to do that also. And oh, I found that symbol, and so on and so forth. So you have that's really what you're trying to do here. Oh, we found that symbol, for example. So you will win the scenario if you're able to guess the whatever is the message here before the time runs out, which means at any time you can stop the game. If all the people that are playing the game agree, you can try to guess it. You guess it right, you succeed and you win that chapter of the campaign or the post-campaign mission. If you fail, then you lose. When you decide to guess, it's an either or. There's no other solution there. However, there are more, so the only way of winning is figuring out the code for that mission. But there are several ways of losing. One is if you get stuck, meaning you're unable to play more cards. We'll see what that means in a little bit, and also if the time runs out. In order to perform actions, you will need to spend cards. They have numbers and symbols on them. When you start the game, only the numbers matter. They go from 1 to 12. As you progress, there may be game effects that also activate the symbols on them. The mission card again will also tell you which board you use. This is a double-sided board with a different locale on the other side, and will also tell you where you put these locations, these tokens, how many go in each location, where's the area where the heroes start, and so on and so forth. So, each player has a hand of 4 of these cards. Each hero also has, again, a card that marks who they are with a unique ability. Basically, when it is your turn, you will perform 1 or 2 actions, and the actions will consume cards. Let me put these cards here. I'm trying to avoid too much glare. There you go. So, when it is your turn, again, you'll take 1 or 2 actions. You can take the unique action indicated on your card, in which case you simply discard 2 cards into the discard pile, and that's it. If you want to take your unique action, it is 2 cards. You can, however, also take these actions here, again, 1 or more, by playing a card on top. For example, I play a card on top of the run action, and then I can perform the run action, which allows me to move up to 3 rooms. And I just do so. 1, 2, 3. For example, Lost Cities style, you can play an action on a card only if your card that you're playing is higher than the card presently there. So, for example, I spend my first action moving, and then I decide that I want to take my second action doing intel, which is I choose a room, I reveal up to 2 clue tokens in it. When I take the intel action, it does not have to be the room in which I am. Matter of fact, very often it's a good idea, so if there are traps that attack the people in the room, you're not quite there. But I decide to be brave, and I decide to spend my intel action there. Oh, look at that. There was a trap. Let's ignore the effect for now. Just trust me, it's bad. And there is a symbol here. If it's a symbol that is not part of the code, well, I may as well discard it because it has no effect on the game. If it's a symbol that has an effect that is part of the code, then it stays there, and later I will want to probably spend an action to gather that symbol. And when I spend an action to gather, then I collect up to 2 clue tokens from my room. Collecting a token means that I actually get to discard it. There's no purpose in keeping it, but I get to lift those windows there. Again, because I'm going to gather symbols that are present in the current secret message that I'm trying to decode. Again, we said Lost City styles, so here a 3 would be ideal if next time that I gather tokens I spend a 4, but sometimes you get stuck and you start skipping. Oh darn, that's not good. Oh, that's really bad, from 1 to 10. Of course, that narrows your options. The way to go to minimize the problem here is to use the regroup action, which also needs cards. When you choose, it also follows the same rule. When you choose the regroup action, you choose any other action card pile, and you discard all of the cards on top of it. Basically, you refresh that. There may be tokens that give you negative effects, and when you use the regroup action, again, you clear all of the cards that are there, and you also remove negative effects. The cards that you cleared go in the discard pile. That's important. You use regroup to rejuvenate the other piles, but who or what rejuvenates the regroup pile? Nothing does. And so that's why I see potentially how you could get stuck if somebody by mistake plays a 12 there. But I still haven't seen that happening when I lost the game, is because I got the code wrong or because time ran out. How does that happen? Well, thank you for asking. The cards that you discard, maybe because you were powering your unique actions, booyah, or when you clean these piles here, go in your discard pile. The discard pile you prepare at the beginning, you place this card at the bottom, you place these 4 cards on top, these time cards, and then you start actually discarding piles, cards on that pile. And so your discard pile maybe will look kind of like this. It'll come a time when you don't have enough cards in the main deck to draw new cards, because you take your actions and then you refill your hand until you have 4 cards in your hand at the end of your turn. So every turn, to perform actions, you will use cards, you will draw new cards, your deck will become thinner, which is of course how you get cards, but it's also your timer. Because when you need to draw new cards and you don't have any new ones, then this card that was there on the table, you flip it this way, dun 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 dun. You take your discard pile and you shuffle into the new pile, which again places those time cards in there also. When you are drawing cards to replenish your hand, if you draw a time card, you have to reveal it and you place it next to the discard pile. You see these symbols there? If you ever draw a total of 3 symbols or more, you lose the game. So the first time that you go through the deck, you're fine. You cannot lose the game because time runs out. As soon as you shuffle it, there is always a small chance, which increases over time, that you will draw that card there. And there's one of these time cards. There are 4 time cards. One has 2 watches. Booyah. Maybe it's the first time I reshuffle the deck. I need to draw 2 cards to replenish my hand. These are the 2 cards that come out, and I lose the game. It's unlikely, but potentially may happen. And there are a couple of things that you can do here to manipulate the thing. For example, oh, the deck is running out. Why don't we regroup as much as we can to clear these piles and put a lot of stuff in the discard pile so that the new deck will be a little thicker than if we have a lot of cards here and we are forming the new deck with these 4 deadly cards and not so many other cards. So this is the general idea. You take turns performing actions, so 1 or 2 actions per turn. They will cost cards. They are these 4 here or your personal one, and you're trying to efficiently collect enough tokens to lift enough of those windows to be able to figure out the code. By doing so, you will advance in the campaign. The campaign, again, is designed like a game book. And each chapter of the campaign is a comic book, and I'm not going to show it to you. Depending on what happens there, the campaign will branch out in different ways, and you play and you see what happens. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the blank initiative, because I'm afraid that telling you more will create spoilers. The initiative is definitely a unique game. I can't recall playing something quite like it in the past. And it's a game that can appeal to a lot of different people. It can appeal to committed gamers, well, such as myself, but you can even play it with younger gamers. I mean, yesterday was Saturday. In the evening, I played the first 4 scenarios by myself. And then this morning, Sunday, I wanted to keep playing, and my 8-year-old saw me play, and she decided to join me. So I played a couple of games, 2 players, just my 8-year-old daughter and me. Then the 10-year-old daughter saw us play, and she joined us, and basically we played for the rest of the game, of the day. We just binged the campaign from morning, taking breaks, just to stretch our legs and to eat meals, and then we finished after dinner. A legit game binging. The first time that my daughters have a full day game binge, especially on a single game. And to me, that's very special. I will always have the memories of playing a single game with my daughters, the entire game. That is very, very special and unique. And so that tells you that's a game that really draws you in, that you want to keep going. And sure, the daughters were not as proficient at solving puzzles as I was, because the adult mind has an advantage there. But then, couple of, extra fresh eyes. There was a time where I was stuck, and my 8-year-old, wait a second, do you see that thing? Isn't it the same as? I was like, wow, you did see that, you did solve that, and I would not have seen that connection. So everybody can contribute, but just the simple idea of playing cards in a way that is reminiscent to Lost Cities, and try to figure out how to optimize that and how to coordinate with different abilities. I'm gonna move you there, you're gonna do this, then what can we do that? Oh, do you have a high card? Yeah, I can do that action, which is awesome, but I'm gonna clog that pile a little bit. What are we gonna do about it? That is something, again, you can play with an 8-year-old, with a young friend, but there is also enough meat there. There are enough decisions there to definitely keep adult gamers entertained also. And just the fun of discovering the story, of seeing what happens next. My daughters were really into it. I would say they were even more into it than I was, because the story, especially early on, feels a little mundane. Yeah, there's a game and we don't know exactly where that comes from, and there's mysterious stuff going on, but it doesn't feel like there is a lot at stake in there. Again, early on, it reminded me a little bit of the video game Life is Strange, which also a lot of people love it, so maybe you'll love this one also. But I was like, okay, I'm spending a lot of time figuring out where the character's dorm room is, when she should know it because it's her friggin' dorm room. At the beginning, the story was a little not the main point to me. The main point to me was solving the puzzles, and because of this, some are more interesting than others. To me, the fun was organizing, again, the Eurogamey element, so to speak, and management, and playing the cards in the right order, etc., etc., etc. But also then trying to use logic. Okay, there is a word that has a certain number of letters, and we know some of those letters, which English words would fall in that category. Now, if that assumption is correct, then that symbol should mean the same letter somewhere else, which also gives me information about this and that. And again, doing that with my daughters, that Wheel of Fortune kind of thing, was just so much fun. To me, those were the best moments, where we were working around the board, doing different things, and try to figure out logically and linguistically what the code was. Because of this, there are some scenarios that felt a lot less interesting, because it didn't have the logical element. The way they were set up, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, the only way to solve them is to, unless I'm missing something, collect every token on the board. Again, on the mission card, every token that is required to solve the mystery. But a lot more fun is the ones where you can try to guess, to put together a solid, educated guess. That is the fun, to see if I can do it with fewer than those elements. Otherwise, it does become simply a set collection. Go around the board, collect exactly those 8 tokens within a certain span of time. You win the game, which is okay. But if it's like, see if you can do it with 8 or 6 or 7 by using logic and linguistic shortcuts, that is where the real fun was. And again, there was a lot of that. So you have a story that, to me, started a little slow, but then becomes a lot more interesting. There are a couple of good plot twists. I didn't have any like, whoa, crazy big moments. Not, again, with the story, not really with the puzzles, but the overall idea to me is refreshing enough, and gameplay felt unique enough that's the whoa, that's the big moment. I'm playing Wheel of Fortune and Lost Cities, and it's a game book, and I'm having a great binge time with my daughters. That's the big moment. It's not like some mega plot twist in which you disassemble the box and it turns into a giant cardboard mecha and you destroy something. That's not the point. Speaking of that, of course, there is going to be absolutely no joy in replaying the scenarios once you know the solution, because the solution is just a string of letters ultimately, and or numbers. The solution may be Star Wars is better than Star Trek. It's a fictional one, and once you know that, there's no real interest in that. But again, you have 14 chapters of the campaign. Each is a full game that you play in 30 to 60 minutes. Then you have a lot of post-campaign missions. So there's gonna be a lot of replay value there, because probably you may also wonder about legacy elements. So often we have developing stories in games connected with the fact that you had to destroy stuff. Not the case here. There may be a penalty that says remove something from the game, but you're told, but don't destroy it, dummy, because it's your game. Don't destroy stuff. So you get it back. There is an element that you manipulate as the campaign progresses, but you can then easily repackage it and give it to somebody else. It won't be a big spoiler, because when you open the box, you see that element, you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen here. So whether you pick up that element packaged by the original manufacturer, or you repackage it to give the game to a friend, to trade it, whatever, to host a game night, it'll be fine. So you won't be able to replay the scenarios or the campaign, but the game will remain intact. You can repackage it, and then it can still be used for other things. It's not destroyed during gameplay. So the initiative, I'm really happy. I'm really pleased. I gave you a couple of minuses here and there, also just to show that I played the game and I gave it some thought. But overall, it's a really solid game. You have a story, you have tough, interesting decisions, you have puzzles that are hard but fair, and that's rare. So it's a very solid package. So many different ideas converge into this game that I was afraid maybe the game would not feel cohesive, but no, magically there is an alchemy in this game in which all the different components come together very well and result into a really fun, really exciting, really entertaining experience. The Initiative, it's a really special game and a really good one.